B1AG, I want the bag. Work my way from a garden to a track. Flip it from a track to a plot full of acres. Do it for the farmers and producers and the makers. What we even here for? Occasionally I ask it. I know it's more than struggling, anticipating the casket. Reap what we sow, trying to fill up my basket. Life's a plantation, I self-law and master. Over the plot I've been granted on this planet. Now it's slanted, cause the chosen been supplanted. But if you overstand it, it was spoken. Fractured, but we ain't broken. Even though some would rather play the role of token, we growing. Black through the essence of a presence. We carry the blood of gods, we carry the mind of peasants. Rich black gardens, future look more like Eden. Multiply seeds like the seed banks in Sweden. Rep my planners on plan according to season. B1 code, switching it up is treason. Black power, family what we eat. Either we get fed or we feed. B1AG.
What is going on? Welcome back to B1AG Daily Bread Podcast. I'm John Henry Harris. We also have Farmer Brown EMC. We're having some technical difficulties today, but we're going to work through that. Here at B1AG, we focus on Black agriculture as it pertains to agriculture production, education, marketing, health, food, nutrition, and economics, all for the Black family, for the Black community. Welcome Black to the garden. Today, we're going to continue our emergency preparedness and emergency response series with Brother Leroy Shabazz. Again, here at B1AG, we like to say, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And today we're going to continue with that. So I'd like to bring on Brother Leroy Shabazz and dive right into it.
First, while we bring the brother on, I would just like to say peace to the B1 family. We hope you work with us through this. It seems like every time we have a brother on, there's some sort of technical difficulty, but what that represents to us is that there's a light that's shining. There's something that's being disseminated that, nefarious factions don't want to hear. And so we hope that the family's ready to receive what's going on today. So first, I would just like to say peace, Brother Leroy. How you doing?
Sure. Peace to you, and definitely, Brother John. Glad to be back with you, brothers, without a doubt.
Now, before we get started, so I was.
Let me say this. Just so Brother John know, there was some static in that introduction place, a lot of echo and stuff like that. But of course, the B1 family gonna stick together and listen through, and we gonna get the work done. Go ahead, bro.
Absolutely, metaphors, right? And so when we try to have these communications, speaking specifically to the melanated family, there's a lot of disruptions, intentional and unintentional. But we realize the purpose is to communicate actionable items to make us more formidable of a people, more formidable families and communities to deal with whatever might happen. Peace, sister. I was doing some research, and I saw that the Dr. F guy, no weapons formed against us will prosper, and the things meant to do us harm actually become stepping stones. You know, people throw stumbling blocks, but we turn them into stepping stones. And so there was this discussion about, I would suggest that domestic flights, you got to be, medically induced to get on domestic flights. And so we don't want to get too deep into that talk, more so than talk about how things are changing. I was also looking at some information from Georgetown Law, if any of the families interested in looking up that. And during 45's administration, they were actually discussing shutting down interstates, roadblocks as a way of mitigating the spread of what we see going on around us. And so, Sandy, I'm bringing that up to bring up a point as we get into the discussion today about emergency preparedness and response. We're in a changing world. I don't think it's conspiracy theory. I don't think anybody with eyes and ears, whether you're looking at news or looking at the world around you, we're in some transitional times. Here at B1AG, we see an optimistic future for the melanated family who is tapped in and understands the gravity of the moment we're in. So saying that to say, Brother Shabazz, as we contextualize this conversation today, what are the actionable items we could take? What are the dynamics at play right now that are affecting our continuity? There's this concept of continuity of government, but we want to apply that same thing to what is it? I, self, law, and master. How do we apply that same concept to our households and our families and our communities?
We're definitely going to get into all of that over the hour, the period that we're going to spend right here. I need to cover a mistake or just any confusion with anybody in reference to. I am a student in the Nation of Islam. I've said that a lot. Everything that I do is from the instructions, not the direct instructions, but from the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But I have no official position. I just want everybody to know that. But I am an emergency management practitioner in the city of Cincinnati. And I gave Brother John some slides that I want to just run through these slides to kind of go over what we covered thus far. And then after that fourth slide, to just, go back into the continuity of government and some things that we need to understand about continuity of the government and continuity of the Black family and the Black community. So if I can get to that first slide, Brother Henry. Okay, so I made my apologies. So I'm glad to be on B1AG. And again, what I do with B1AG as emergency management practitioner is try to deal with disaster preparedness and emergency management. And real quick, before we go to the next slide, brothers and sisters, there is a difference between disaster preparedness and emergency management. Disaster preparedness is when you by yourself or you dealing with your family and stuff like that, and you getting prepared for that. For events that will happen. Emergency management is when you get into the process of doing stuff for the community and other people at large. So, keep that in mind. We'll end up touching base on that and more. Next slide, please, brother. Again, my thing is really dealing with, I'm a program coordinator of a FEMA course, a training course called CERT. That's Community Emergency Response Team. That course is a 21 to 28 hour training course that allows anyone to take the course and learn some modules that are like for disaster preparedness, command capacity, so you know what's going on with the government and things like that, and the leadership capacity, and what's really happening with the authorities, fire safety, life search and rescue, medical operations, so that you can triage people. If there's an earthquake, which is where the CERT program primarily started from, earthquakes in Mexico and Japan, if there's an earthquake that takes place and you got people that you need to hold till the medical people get there, then you need some triage understanding. You need medical operations, and your people are trained to do that until first responders can arrive. Disaster psychology and terrorism. These are components. These are 21 hours of training that makes you an asset. When I say asset, that means you are not part of the community running around like, what's going to happen? Lord, I don't know. But no, you actually understand what's going on, and you can actively be engaged in going from incident to the recovery process. Again, on the other side, you become an extension of first responders and government. By knowing what you know, you can do the things like mitigate for hazards. You can do stuff before you think something is going to happen. You got preset communications where you can communicate or know who to communicate with. This is the team. This is the CERT team. You got community emergency operation plan. So for example, what you're going to do in reference to getting baby formula for the kids, because already went and made a mutual aid agreement with Kroger's or Walgreens or something to get baby formula until the incident is over with. And again, the CERT program can reduce crime and violence because you got people actively involved in the community. Again, we talked about in the past the CERT program being connected to agriculture in the previous sections, where we create the CERT programs can connect to farmers, and the CERT program can have a urban farm itself. The CERT program can have a location where they got bees and chickens, and the youth are being invited to that to understand what food is about, where food come from. So this is a beautiful program, and again, this is what I push. Okay, to the next slide, brother. Okay, now let's get practical here. As a CERT program coordinator, what I teach and we ain't going to B1 activity right now. What I teach is that I have to teach from this CERT manual that there are 3 types of disasters. There are natural disasters, and everybody knows what a natural disaster is: earthquake, hurricane, mudslide. Technological disaster, which will be your chemical spill, your plant explosion. And then I teach about intentional disasters, this is coming out of the CERT manual, the training manual. And when it says intentional disasters, the way the training manual teaches you, and I'm going to tell you how to go get some online training, and you're going to see this, that they just talk about war and terrorism as though they were some generic things, war and terrorism. But when I teach the course as an instructor, and I think some of the things that they're doing online with these courses is they're trying to take it to where the instructor don't give you too much information. But when I talk about intentional disasters such as war and terrorism, I make you clearly understand that white supremacy is a form of terrorism that has affected the Black community and that is affecting the Black community. And we need to understand that and deal with that. Now, I'm not just talking about the white man isn't a white man. That ain't it, right? In reality, we got some inferiority stuff going on in the community, and even some sellout stuff that's going on in the community from the Black perspective, from our perspective, that's not making us be all that we can be. And the 4th cause of disaster, this is because I'm a Black man and I'm talking to a Black audience, and I'm not necessarily supposed to teach this in the FEMA class, but again, the 4th cause of disasters is divine intervention. And I guess I almost wanted to do a Biden thing where if you don't know about divine intervention, then you ain't Black.
You ain't Black.
But divine intervention is a reality, brothers and sisters. In 2015, I did a disaster report. And if you go to femap.news, as you see this on the screen, and go to the document section, you can print off that report. It's a good report, I think, because I talk about divine intervention and how divine intervention led me to understand the supreme emergency management, the supreme intelligence of emergency management, because God has dipped into the nations and said, hey, y'all need to get this straight, or he doesn't come himself. He sent people. That's that reality in the past. The Nation of Islam has a whole different reality on that, but I'm not here for that. So
Shabazz,
go ahead.
Brother Shabazz. So, we were talking a little bit before we started streaming today, just about, some of those things that disrupt communication and actionable items. My mom sent me on, she wanted me to go pick some stuff up for her yesterday. And, so I had to go to 3 or 4 different stores. I had to go to the dollar store, Kroger, Walmart, looking for a dustpan. She needed me to bring her a dustpan over there. And it struck me as odd, as each one of these stores, the shelves were bare. She also wanted me to get her some whole berry cranberry sauce, and there was none. And I'm talking about if there were 20 aisles, literally 10 of those aisles were bare. They were empty. And it's one of those things, I'm an artist, and so I understand detail. But if you're kind of just, going about life, you're getting your information through your devices, not really paying attention, it's real easy to miss the details of how this change and transition is happening. You had mentioned this concept of white supremacy and its effect. Like you said, this isn't about, Klansmen running around in the hood lynching people. It is literally baked into the system. It's literally baked into the system how we operate. This isn't one individual over here that doesn't like the color of your skin. This isn't some abstract angry person over here. It's literally baked into the modus operandi, and we'll get into this later about the perpetuity of government. And so saying that to say, when we talk about this preparedness, it's not coming from a place of, oh my God, the world is coming to an end, these people hate us. It's literally coming from a place, now how can we practically address the issues that are affecting our community? Because when you talk about that white supremacist concept, it's codified. It's codified. It's not 1 or 2 people that's making this happen. By it being baked in the system, it means by the nature of how this is set up, the people in it, whether they know it or not, are going to be perpetuating this. And like you spoke on there, unfortunately, there are melanated people that are perpetuating these systems that keep us from being the best that we can be and being the most prepared. And so saying that to say, if you could kind of touch on, so you had brought to our attention some documents about how far back this goes. Here at B1AG, we like to focus our conversation around food security. We realize there's so many other areas of human activity that affect our ability to be the best we can be, but we feel like one of them, regardless of what side of the what side of any spectrum we're on, you have to be connected with the land, right? And so you have brought some, I think there was a guy, Zbigniew Brzezinski. You know, his name was real big when President Obama got selected. But saying that to say, these people have been, and I hate to give power to people by saying these people, but we have to be practical here. These people have been putting certain things in motion to stifle our ability to feed ourselves for a long time, stifle the ability to prepare ourselves for emergencies. On one end, yes, this nefariousness happens, but on the other end, and I think you would agree, there's nothing in the world stopping us from taking this seriously and taking matters in our own hand to being as safe as we could be. So if you could kind of go over this document, Hen, if you could pull this up, and Brother Shabazz, if you can, kind of shed some light on the family.
Brother, I'm gonna have to back up. I'm gonna have to back up in reference to completing that divine intervention piece, right? I have to, because what we're going through is going to go into some political reality. So I don't want to touch this right now. As soon as I get through with that last slide, I can go there. But right now, if we don't understand the divinity of what's going on, that is our way out of this problem, because it's very important for us to understand. And I'm not a minister, brother Farmer Brown, Brother John. Y'all know I ain't no minister. I ain't no preacher. I'm just looking at cause and effect and some reality that we need to deal with, okay? And this is how we're going to get out of this reality. I ain't no preacher, man, but if we can go to that third slide again, as I was concluding, talking about the divine intervention. As I was concluding that, right, and let me just say this real quick, right? We have been in America for 400 some years right now, right? And I'm not a minister, but I can tell you that there's this dude named Jesus in the Bible in John 8:33. He's talking to some people, and he's saying, they talking about they the seed of Abraham, and he talking to them, and they say that we are the seed of Abraham. We have never been in bondage to nobody, and that's a conversation where these folks saying we ain't even been in bondage to nobody. But we know black people in America have been in bondage for 400 years, like some scripture be talking about, right? And then in John 8:44, I ain't no preacher, but I got to hit this stuff, right? John 8:44, right? Jesus is calling these folks. He said, I know you are of your father, the devil. So it ain't me. The Nation of Islam wasn't even around back then calling folks devils. You follow what I'm saying? But it's some stuff going on. And I'm through with that slide to the point where we have to understand who we are and the time we're in, the time and what must be done. Now, my last slide, brother, we can go political. We can go into this 100% with the intelligence as black men and get this out. But then the next slide I wanted to touch on was that rules of beginning. And I'm putting that out there for lost fun. I'm putting that out there. I'm putting these rules out here for teenagers, for young women, for young men, for young couples. You follow what I'm saying? Who don't believe in no religion or anything like that. So let me hit this slide. I'm going to say it and then read it for the most part and leave it alone. Okay, but this is in reference to some spiritual stuff about belief in God, whatever your thing is, right? And these are some lessons that, at the point in time, the Nation of Islam had their lessons seized by the FBI, right? And when I got this lesson right here, and some more to this lesson that is not on here, right? It's like a brother went down to his basement in Hamilton, the city of Hamilton, right? Because he saw me and another brother selling final cars, and he came out with a stack of stuff and blew the dust off of it and gave it to me. But these rules I want to just share and move on. The first rule, again, the rules of beginning, important. Anything that exists in its purity cannot cease to exist, and therefore it necessarily exists of itself. From nothing comes nothing. In this application, we may well understand that light produces light. So nothing from nothing, or nothing plus nothing is nothing, nothing minus nothing is nothing. So nothing, zero cannot equal nothing. You can read this and look at it yourself. But and number 3, in the physical world, we see, feel, and hear only the results of the pure essence. Read these. Now I'm going to just do the 4th rule and then we can move on. Because I want to put this out there so people can start understanding what this God piece is about. And the 4th rule is that we go from the known to the unknown in order to know what has previously been unknown. And on that note, what Black people in America are going from, they are going from a known civilization. They are going from a known reality of a people who have been the most wickedest, horrible people, to the point where we're about to go to another level of building another civilization. That's very important. Now, when you go to that document that you were talking about, see, because that last point that I was making with the rules of the beginning is talking about the reality of God. People can go look at that, have conversation over the dinner table, the whole 9 yards. This document right here points out the depths, some devilishment, right? For example, this is what the Nation of Islam refers to, and a whole bunch of other folks, organizations may refer to. This is the National Security Study Memorandum 200. And this was a document that was started in 1974, and it was a document to study population and population control. Okay, this is an actual document. You can go to femap.news, my website, femap.news, and look at the documents and pull up this. This is only 2 pages because this is the original document asking for the study. And then next to that, you'll see the study that came out from that. But again, scroll back down, brother, because I want the people to see who this document was sent to about population control. It was sent to the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of Agriculture, the Director of the Central Intelligence Agency, and the Deputy Secretary of State, and the Agency for International Development. Now, these organizations were told to go do a study up to the year 2000 on controlling the population and population processes and making sure that they didn't interfere with what was going on with the American concerns or the government concerns, not necessarily the American concerns, but whoever was running the government, the people that were running the government. So you wanted to question specifically on that, right?
Yes, and I was just as looking at this, and family, you know, we're having a discussion today, right? When we're thinking about codification and prioritization and being prepared, so I think it's very interesting the order. The Secretary of Defense. When we think of defense, I think about the brother Maj Touré. I think about a lot of the gun rights group, the melanated gun rights groups. You got to be able to defend wherever you're at, whether you're talking about your household, whether you're talking about your community. The next action item is you have to feed. And so this was directed to the Secretary of Agriculture. And I'm hoping the family is internalizing, okay, when we talk about our self-law and master, being what we need to be for ourselves, this is the order of importance, right? We're not making this up. Agriculture, you have to eat. You have to have food, fuel, and fiber. This is your food, clothing, and shelter. Then the Central Intelligence. Central Intelligence doesn't deal on, okay, I'm going to look at Google and see what's going on. You have people who are dedicated to, I'm going to get out here. I'm going to learn what there is to be learned. Like you said, you go from the known to the unknown. I know what I know, so let me go investigate what it is I don't know. When we have this conversation about healthyblackfood.com, there is a large contingency of melanated people that have lost our connection with learning how to grow food. And so that's why we stress that. It isn't about—
Let me interject, brother.
What's that?
If I can interject right here, right? Because that study, right, when you read the study, it says it study up to the year 2000. Now, in 1984 and 1985, the Central Intelligence Agency was pushing crack cocaine into the community. Okay, so this ain't no joke. These folks were seriously, about population control. Why would you push crack cocaine into the Black community the way you did? And then on my YouTube channel, CEFEMAP.news, CEFEMAP.news, in the smoking gun sections, I got a Black FBI agent saying that when I was a Cincinnati FBI agent here in Cincinnati, I tried to warn the Black community that they was about to, Rick Ross was coming to set up these crack cocaine actions. I tried to issue a warrant for his arrest, but the FBI And the Cincinnati police did not issue no warrant for that brother's arrest at that time. So again, it was the CIA pushing the dope on the community, right? Population control, what? Go
Bruh. So yeah, I hate to digress, but man, so if you think about what was going on during this time, we're talking about the 70s. This is right after the Civil Rights Act. This is right after the dismantling of the Black Panther Party for simply wanting to be prepared, simply wanting to do for self, right? And so I think about, so this is when hip hop hit. We understand the impact that hip hop has had, not just as entertainment, but influencing the society, influencing what's important. Crack in and of itself is a value-added product. If you want me to be scientific, it is derived from an agricultural product, coca leaf, that is grown in South America. And so when we talk about this central intelligence, when we talk about agriculture, there was some codified agricultural discussion on, we're going to use this agricultural product, process it in such a way where it's going to have this effect on the community. And, you know, I hate to try to live in the past, but can you imagine, we know what hip hop has done to promote alcohol and drugs, and we've seen the effect that it's had on our community in the decades following. Can you only imagine, as Black farmers are getting their land taken, as the Black farmers are going to the Department of Agriculture, not getting loans, not getting any sort of assistance, losing land, 30,000 acres a year, the average melanated family. Can you imagine if we as a community have been promoting the importance of agriculture, growing healthy food since the 80s, when we saw that this was a clear form of attack?
Now let me get back in here, brother. Let me get back in, please. Again, the Secretary of Agriculture is on this list, right? So they, you know, back in the 70s, they wasn't helping Black farmers, you know what I'm saying? And they still ain't helping Black farmers. You follow what I'm saying? You with me, brother, on looking at this document right here? This is some stuff they studying, but they was going on with a plan too. Because what are they doing here? This document is saying we need to study how these other people is growing. So, because if they grow too much, they're going to be messing up our thing. And that is continuity of government. You can say continuity of white supremacy, but it's continuity of government. They making sure when they see there's a problem, they saying, okay, now what do we got to do? Because this is the continuity process. You got to pre-plan and prepare to deal with something that's going to come up. And then you activate your plans. So again, I just kind of saw that as you were talking, that again, this is continuity of government. Now I don't want to get too far away from the agricultural importance of this for Black people, right? Because continuity of government is the fact that they want to make sure that their processes and their functions are going on. But at the same time, we need to understand that what they were doing right here in reference to pushing crack cocaine into the community, in reference to not helping Black farmers, they were coming against the Black community to the point where they were not helping the continuity of the Black family. So the Black family was unable to deal with its essential functions. The Black community with the crack cocaine epidemic, because the community is supposed to be a growing, thriving thing. That's the essential function of a community. But when you push a product in there to destabilize the community, you are disrupting the essential functions of that community, right? So, in what I'm saying right now, there's some language with this emergency management processes, and I'm going to tell you some actionable stuff as we conclude this session, so that you can go take a course from FEMA and learn what I'm saying and have it in your mind the way I'm trying to get it out to you, brother. I'm sorry.
And if you could go through some of these line items on this document, here at B1AG, we like to be very specific. We have our opinions, but we like to form our opinions around documented, tangible items. And so if you could go through some of these lines.
Well, I won't be able to, brother, because for one thing, I can't see that really good. And the other thing is that just based on what you...
I'll read it, and if you could just touch on it. So the president has directed a study of the impact of the world population growth on U.S. security and overseas interests. I think of Libya. The study should look forward at least until the year 2000 and use several alternative reasonable projections of population growth. There's this word of population tailoring and eugenics keeps being thrown around today. In terms of each projection, the study should assess the corresponding pace of development, especially in power countries or communities, the demand for U.S. exports, especially of food, and the trade problems the U.S. may face arising from competition for resources, and the likelihood that population growth or imbalances will produce disruptive foreign policies and international instability. The study should focus on the international political and economic implications of population growth, rather its ecological, the environment, sociological, how people function, and other aspects. The study should also then offer possible courses of action items for the United States in dealing with population matters abroad, particularly in developing countries, with special attention to these questions. What, if any, new initiatives by the U.S. are needed to focus international attention on the population problem? Population problem. I thought we were supposed to be fruitful and multiply. But it seems like this document is putting being fruitful and multiply as a possible problem. Can
I'm not qualified. I'm not qualified I'm not qualified, brother, to hit on that document the way you want me to.
I got one more point. Wow, as I'm reading this, can technological mRNA innovations or developments reduce growth or
Hey, and there you go.
Microphone to drop.
There you go. That's all good now.
Family.
You know, for example, like, you know, again, on the CEFEMAP news, my YouTube channel, right? Again, I got it where people kind of blow this off, because we were talking before the thing about people having white supremacy blind spots to the point where, like, it's white supremacy, but I just you know, I just don't see what you're talking about. But again, I got a guy who pointed out that, again, there's a video before that where Bill Gates is talking about in 2015 how this virus thing is going to come out and it's going to be the scourge of the earth. Okay, 2015. You know, so they do their thing, and this guy in the smoking gun section, the name of that video is Smoking Gun, I believe, but it talks about this guy goes to the government website. Hey, all y'all out there that are listening, if you look at that video, he'll take you to a government website where it shows you that the CARES Act, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, not stimulus. That bill was called the Security Package. That was started in 2019, January of 2019. We didn't hear about the stuff, the dookie stick until December of 2019. But they had already written a bill or started a bill that was going to put out how much money? Because most people that I hear talking about this, the CARES Act was 3-point-something trillion or 3-something trillion. No, it was 6.2 trillion. Trump used 1.9. Biden used 2.2 or something like that. There's another trillion out there just to make sure that everything is secure while they're going on with their process. And I'm a clue with this, right? Because brothers and sisters, population control. What is the first thing you want to do with people with population control? You want to make sure they don't have no damn babies. And so here it is, y'all. People are getting all these jabs, and you don't know which jab is going to be the one that's going to make you like sterile and all. Man, come on now. We can be better after 400 years.
We were doing a podcast the other day, and we stumbled upon an article. This is once again during 45's administration. So, you know, this year they did the Farmers of Color Act, and it was supposed to help minority farmers get debt relief, and it was $4 billion. Pay attention to these numbers. Going to this CARES Act that you're talking about. During Trump's time, I think it was grain farmers. It was $3 billion more given, right? They accidentally gave people $3 billion more than what they were supposed to get. And I'm making this point to say, all of this has been scripted for so long, and you know, instead of spending so much time pointing out, oh, these nefarious things that these people are doing, we're trying to make this, and I hope the family is understanding where we're coming from. This is how codified we need to be in long-term planning. Whether we're talking about the so-called U.S. government, whether we're talking about just totally unrighteous factions, as a melanated community, and this isn't a question you answer to us, these are questions you answer to whoever you're looking at in the mirror. Am I spending as much time planning for my future, for my perpetuity of just my home government, for my family, for my community? Am I putting as much time into thinking about this as I am being entertained, as I'm being satiated?
So, brother, we do not have. Again, the reason I spent so much time on that spiritual piece, on that divinity piece, right, is because if we are the people after 400 years who's supposed to be getting up and getting gone, not necessarily physically, but at least mentally and economically and ethically, because the spiritual piece means that if you see what they've been doing and all the development that they've been doing, when you create your next nation, you don't do that stuff. So you don't get divinely taken out, you know? So what they're dealing with, what the United States government dealing with right now is they dealing with some continuity of government because they know some doo-doo about to come their way. And, you know, and again, we do not have a right to not get up and be that people. We need to fight and deal with our intelligence to get up. And again, what has this got to do with B1AG? Again, the first phase of a nation, brothers and sisters, the first phase of a nation is its agriculture phase. We've got to get back to the ground. We've got to support Black farmers. And again, what B1AG does and what I like about them, and of course, there are other people out there doing urban farming and stuff like that. What I like about B1AG is trying to pull all of those people together to make something happen with the regular people. A lot of organizations is just cool with what they got in them. You follow what I'm saying? But B1AG is saying we need to do a bigger aggregate come together. And B1AG, even with, you know, Brother Farmer Brown, I heard some of the music you did in reference to growing some food, a rap you did with growing some food, and I think with some kids. I heard something, man, that's dynamite. You follow what I'm saying? That's dynamite. And the healthyblackfood.com should be respected in reference to, if you got kids, you need to teach them how to plant something. John Henry will come stronger. You better grow something if you want to. I mess with you because they mess with John about that deep voice. But again, you know, our youth need to that's getting them back to the earth, getting them back to the science of the earth. Again, when we talked about anything that exists in its purity doesn't cease to exist. When kids can understand how seed becomes something else, they can understand that some levels of science that will take their mind to a different thing. We so caught up into, as parents, letting our kids get caught up into this foolishness and the metaverse coming around to get them caught up into that. You follow what I'm saying? That we are not getting back to nature. Now, I don't want to go on a tangent.
Because after this, we want you to get into some action items the family can take. So we once again, we reported on this a few weeks back. The IMF, it was 10 of the top countries through the IMF did a simulation similar to the simulation of a global pandemic, a SARS virus, you know, long before we heard the C-19. But the IMF, and this is within the last few weeks, did a simulation of a financial collapse. And the concept of a war game is, okay, if this goes wrong, how are we going to respond internationally? And this was amongst the 10 nations. I want to use that as an example, not only pointing out the seriousness of the time we're in, but how do we apply these same concepts that these nations, these entities, these corporations are applying to, hey, if the financial system goes down, how are we as a collective of corporations or countries going to respond? If you could kind of tie that to the importance of CERT, if you can tie that to the importance of the work that you do, Brother Shabazz,
okay.
You're a humble man.
Okay.
You know, I think
let me go here right quick, brother. Why? Because again, you said war games, right? But what they're doing, that's not war games, brother. That's training, testing, and exercising. They're training, testing, and exercising, and then they're going to implement what they're doing. Somebody's going to implement what they're doing, or it's going to happen. So they're training, testing, and exercising. Again, and they're training and testing and exercising so that they can have a state of readiness and preparedness for when the stuff hit the fans. That's what continuity is. We're going to at least have the essential functions that we're going to keep covered. And so when something happens, they activate their plans because they got and hopefully the plans work to keep them where they want to be. with the CERT program, let me not go off on a tangent. With the CERT program, again, the CERT program trains people in the community to be able to have some continuity when the disaster or the event hits. Okay, now what most Black people would think about is just an earthquake or something, a natural disaster, and we all everybody should try to be covered from these natural disasters. We should send some money to help whoever community, during a disaster. However, when it comes to this, again, this white supremacy stuff and some of the stuff that's coming at us, that's where B1 comes in. That's where a CERT team needs to be B1, so that you're not just ready to help, with the recover from a natural disaster, something like that. We are actually dealing with a recovery process to get past the 400 years of slavery that we just got through. A CERT program is usually a program, as it was initiated, to be ready, help the community be prepared. So in actuality, brothers and sisters, in actuality, Farmer Brown, we are going through a disaster. We are going through the fall of a nation who's trying to keep itself up. So we need to, if I can take this to the conclusion of what you were asking, the CERT teams need to be in the processes of connecting to the farmers, making sure we got the resources we need through the government. And another level that, brother, is out of my control. See, some of this national Black leadership, you know what I'm saying, needs to come on board. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I'm gonna give you this. One of the reasons why I dealt with the divine intervention piece. There's a thing where when you go to church, right, you see, because in divine intervention, Sodom and Gomorrah got taken out for theoretically homosexuality, right? But when you go to the church, right, you see where the preacher be like, and the Lord said this, and the Lord said that, and the brothers be like, go ahead, Rev, go ahead, Rev, go ahead. And and then the preacher get a little bit more, and he be like, and the Lord said that. And so what's going on right here is like, you got men pumping each other up. They pumping each other up, making each other feel good. This is some theological homosexuality, because it makes them feel good, but they don't go out into the community and do a damn thing to help the community to become connected to family, where brothers and sisters are sitting at that dinner table getting some good food that was grown by a Black farmer who don't want the COVID medicine grown in their. Okay, I didn't mean to say the C word for the most part. But in any case, I hope I went all the way around the corner, man, but I hope I touched base on what you was asking. Now, go ahead, because I'm going to hit these actionable items right quickly.
So that's what I'm getting to. My grandfather, his thing with us was keep it simple, stupid. Do the work of the Central Intelligence, learn everything that's going on as much as you can perceive. But then when it comes to action, keep it simple, stupid. And so I'm somebody that just came across this CERT program. I just happened to thumb through and I found this B1AG Daily Bread podcast, and these crazy Negroes is on here talking about being prepared. And I done went and I sat and thought with the family. I said, you know what, baby, we really not prepared. And so and I saw on here that the brother was saying 21 to 28 hours of training. What does this look like? Keep it simple, stupid for the family. What
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like after I do this 21 hours of training, what am I going to learn? If I have a 9 to 5 and I didn't have to quit because of the mandates or, all this craziness going on, what does this look like on the grassroots level, this 21 to 28 hours training? Okay.
A clear, there's a video, again, on my website, on our website, CECERT.org, CECERT.org. As soon as you get on the page, right, it says, what is CERT? And if you click on that, it'll take you to a video that shows you the CERT team training. And they're talking about what is CERT. They're talking about what CERT is. And they're showing you they're a team of people, who have training and is ready to help that are ready to help their community when something happens. That's what CERT is. During the first slide, I talk about some of the modules that you will learn in the CERT program, and I kind of hit on that a little bit with the disaster preparedness, medical operations, and things like that that you will learn. Like search and rescue. These are modules that you will learn. And then after you get a team together, then your team can continue to train and take more training and become a better team at what they would do in case something happened. Again, with our CERT program, with the B1 CERT program that we're talking about, that's where we get the CERT programs. We ask for our Black B1 CERT to connect the food hubs, get this thing going where we actually are creating a different economic dynamic in the process. Were you going to say something?
So let's break it down logistically. And so, okay, I'm somebody, I came across this information, it makes sense. Ideally, how many people, theoretically speaking, how many people would it take to build this team? So you're in Cincinnati, you're in a larger urban area than, me here in Kentucky or Big J down in Georgia, right? How many people ideally say in the area where you live? I don't know if you're near Lincoln Heights or I don't know where you're at in Cincinnati, but how many people would be ideal to form one of these CERT teams, B1?
What the thing is, and what we learned here is, right, it doesn't take a lot of people to get it started. 12 to 15, 20 people can get your basic CERT team going. As long as you got motivated people that will come to meetings and understand what the process is and go out and try to recruit other people and get other people involved. Our problem with the teams, because I train a team at least once team a year one team a year over the since 2010, 2013. Now the thing is, with us here in Cincinnati in 2017, but they never wanted to give us credentials. Okay, every other, and that was like a slap to the black face. You follow what I'm saying? We're trying to get to the point where we're doing mitigations for our community. It was just I don't want to get lost. It was just where our team was really disrespected, right? I still got a core group of brothers and sisters that work with me to make things happen. And then I got a grant process right now to teach, to start a whole nother team. So when I start this other team in the future, I'm gonna, share that with other folks, other teams, in reference to what we're doing. And hopefully, I'm looking at these team members being able to go out and help other people get started. I kind of lost my point,
so
brother.
You said 12 to 20. So 12.
So you can just get a core group of 12 to 20 people, because you're going to end up with more people, right? But the thing is to have that core group connect to your community council or your resident council, right? Because what that's doing is connecting you to the government. That's connecting you to the structure that's supposed to be. Because I live in a community called, right now I'm living in the city of Reading, or there's a community where I'm at right now, and it's the community of Evanston, right? If a disaster hit Evanston right now, and you were to go to the president of the Evanston Community Council and ask him, well, what's going to happen? What we need to do? He would be like, I have no idea, because he's waiting on the white folks just like you to help him out, right? But if he had a CERT team, he can call up Brother Leroy, and Brother Leroy would say, like, look, I'm in contact with the emergency management agency, and or the fire department just called me up, and we just called the fire department up and said, we got our community covered. We're doing triage, or we're doing light search and rescue. There's some area that we can't get to because the damage is too heavy. So the CERT team is there to help the community. And when people see that, some people may want to get involved. For search and rescue, we want to get the youth involved and get them to learn how to use drones, because they're using drones for search and rescue right now. So people will get involved. You just need to start your core group. And on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and just hit on 3 actionable items so that I don't not do this. Again, if you went to these are the actionable items, because before now, I've told people to check out the emergency management agency, ask them about certain things like that. And Farmer Brown told me that you guys got some feedback on people was finding crazy stuff out there, or whatever you said. Touch base on that, brother. What'd you say people were finding?
it ties to the point you were making about getting disrespected. The point is you got this information and now how them people respond to you, that's a different story. But people are basically the same thing you pointed out. What are you talking about? You called my office asking about this. And so many times that will be the response, and it will take that third and fourth time, like, no, I know that this is a program that is offered. I know that this is something that exists, and we want this training. And so there's always going to be those deterrents in the beginning. And so this is what some people were reaching out to us like, oh, yeah, the bro was telling the truth.
Okay, so let me hit these actionable items. Okay, now, brothers and sisters, what you can actually do is you can go to cecert.org, the website, our website, our team's website, and if you scroll down, you'll see something called a practical area. Okay, practical areas, and you'll see where it says CERT Program Theory. Now you can click on that where it says CERT Program Theory, and that will take you to a course, an online course about what CERT is about. It doesn't make you a CERT member, but you can actually click on that and take that 317 course, right? Now I'm asking you to take that course because it's a funky course. They redid it in this, but if you can get through that, which I'm just mad that they just did this course like this, right? If you can get through that course, one of the things you do is you'll be able to get you a student ID number with FEMA, okay, so that you can go take other courses. All the other courses will be primarily a lot easier than this 317 course, which I think they just created to create some confusion for people who want to come do this. That sounds weird, but these folks are something else. Now, again, you take the 317 course, CERT Program Theory. If you go to the website, cecert.org, practical area, action areas, take that. You'll get a student ID number, and that'll get you to be able to take other courses. And one of the courses, you can do this course before the CERT 317 course, because once you get your student ID, you can take whatever you want to take. But there's a course called IS 1300, because that stands for Independent Study 1300. And that's an introduction to what we've been talking about, introduction to continuity of operations. Okay, and some of the stuff that we said today, and this is only a 45-minute course, you can probably get it done within an hour and a half or 2 hours, so you can study and really enjoy what you're learning from it. So that course, IS 1300, is something that I'm asking you to do because it'll get you really up to date on what's going on. And again, if you at the cecert.org website, there's a link. You'll see where it says CERT Hybrid Training. Now, CERT has since COVID, and I think they were working on this before COVID, but they got it where you can take a lot of the course online. And then you can only have to come find a CERT training where you do maybe 16 hours of physical training, where you actually learn about the extinguishers. You actually learn how to do cribbing, to lift weights, to lift something, leverage and cribbing. Where somebody's trapped under something, you know how to leverage it up, put some cribbing under there to keep it up, and then try to get the weight off of the people. That's life search and rescue stuff. You learn something. You have to show that you know something about medical operations. So you can go to the hybrid training link that's on there, and you can actually take that online portion, and then you can have that certificate that you've completed that, and then you can go find a hybrid class training wherever. And it may be situations where from this grant money that I got, I might be able to connect with some local people in your area if it's enough of you people that contact me and set it up with the fire department there, something like that, where I can come do your practical aspects of it, trying to make it work the best way we can.
Other than time and attention, what is the cost? Is there a fee? What is the cost for this training?
No, the CERT program is a free program. It's a free program.
And so basically
free.
Training that can save lives, training that can perpetuate continuity of family, community.
Zero. Yeah. Just get the training.
So less than what I could pay for a pair of shoes, less than what I would pay for a night out on the town. I can learn how to not only save myself, my family, but other people, and get a little bit closer to what these people got going on. Is that what you're telling me? Zero.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then what you do from there is you can find several buddies and take the training or get the training either, because what I'm getting ready to do here in Cincinnati is I'm going to do the class training, where it's like you're gonna do 3-4 hours with me in a class for 7 times or something to that effect, to make up the 21, 28 hours. And then once, like if a group of people came to me, then they can create their own team in their own community. And in that community, for example, will now have people that want to connect to B1AG and connect to their local urban growing processes and to set up the things that we can do. Now, even with that, brothers and sisters, we are still working within the government, and there's nothing wrong. We're working within the government structure, right? But we should always, at all times, be looking at how do we make this grow bigger to the point where it's Black farmers and Black businesses and investments are being a part of creating growth and development in the Black community. That's very important that we do that.
This was some great information. I think we got a couple more sessions. I know we touched on a lot of points. Family, this is a multi-dimensional chessboard that we're playing on here. And so it's really no simple way to have this conversation. And I'm a proponent of leave no stone unturned. If it's something over there, it's something to be observed. These people that we speak of, they observe everything. I tend to think that we're the original people on this planet, and we're the mothers and fathers of civilization, and something rocked us to sleep. I do think it is, when we talk about divine intervention, I do believe that there's divine providence upon our adherence to our task within this thing, and that's being stewards of the land, learning how to feed one another, learning how to run a more sustainable, whether you want to call it government, civilization, communities. Absolutely. Okay, good information. And so our thing here, man, we just, I don't want to say pleading or begging, but we really are. We need some self-sustainable, self-motivated individuals within the communities across the diaspora to see the importance of what this brother is bringing to the table. I hope we hope you would pick something up from the words that we were sharing today, but I think more than anything, picking up the importance of being prepared and understanding that there are, we're not recreating the wheel. There are already mechanisms in place, such as CERT, that are already in place to give us the training we need to where if the devices go down, if somehow you're not able to contact people online, your social media gets shut down, you have a plan of action.
And let me interject, bro. I'm sorry. Don't mean to be rude. But again, this is not a doomsday presentation that we're talking about here, right? The reality is there's some stuff about to happen because people have got some stuff planned. Again, I talked about in the earlier sessions that we did, the grid is going down. It's going to go down for a period of time. And for example, people are going to FEMA camps. The thing is, if you go into FEMA camp with some preparedness in your mind and a ham radio because you done took the CERT training and you got the CERT training, you got credentials. Say, man, I'm a member of CERT. I got to come over here because I ain't got no house to go back to. However, you can't take my radio because this is part of my CERT training. Now, if they do take your radio, that's some other work. You got to fight like hell.
But let's be prepared.
To keep your radio, you did everything you needed to do to make sure you and your community was prepared, but you had to go. And you went with that group of people to get relocated to wherever. And then you're using your radio to say, look, Brother Leroy, these folks ain't giving us no water. Brother Leroy, and then we contact the people who's supposed to do the right thing to get you the water. Oh, we find them Negroes with the gats and we come make sure you get some. I mean, it may go there. Ain't no telling where this thing gonna go. But I will say this: if the black community responds with intelligence, and I'm glad I got to this point again, continuity of family. Like they trying to get continuity of government. What we don't have is continuity of family. That is the essential component of our communities, right? Black men, we need to understand and get back into our role as fathers. So and getting and sisters, y'all need to kind of, if you ain't working, or you even or y'all need to work together, y'all need that dinner table. Y'all need to look at each other. Y'all need to get the black food from the black farmers. I mean, this is some. It is so critical that we get there. If not, we're going to catch an abundance of hell.
I'm glad you brought it up, and we ain't gonna stay on here too much longer. But
yes, sir.
We're just talking amongst each other now. When we think of men, right, our role in the family, and I was listening to Dr. Amos Wilson the other day. You know, we can't make our family units look like the Europeans. Like, you know, you build your unit based on the situation you're living in. When I think of the roles that any one of us melanated men can play within our communities, regardless of whatever dirt we got, being in a position to protect and provide in a time of emergency, whether you're dealing with this woman personally or not, this is an area where all of us have a value. There's a value that you can't even place a dollar on, or having codified melanated men, like you said, 12 to 20. I don't think that's too hard of an ask for 12 to 20 melanated men in any community. Obviously, you want the sisters to be involved too. But the sisters are, you know, they're doing their part of the continuity of the family and the households, right? And so I do think this is a great challenge for melanated men. And brother John and myself, you know, we're with it. We're with it. You know, I'm, you know, always ready to learn. But as melanated men, this is something we can absolutely do, and it's needed. It's needed. When the grid goes down, this is how we assert our value within our communities. This isn't personal. This isn't romanticized. This isn't vitriol. You know, we talk about these gender wars and all of that. Well, my thing is, let us protect these women, and then we'll fight later. But first order of business is we need to protect the community. And this is a thing where as melanated men, we will bet on our favorite teams. There's a lot of activities we're involved in, right? And regardless of your religion, no religion, political party, this is something that we can do. We can get this training 21 to 28 hours out of our lives. I imagine most of us have spent at least 30 hours watching some, men competing in sports. And so I do think this is a formidable challenge to melanated men. You don't have to be woke to understand that the world is changing around us. And there is a role that we played. And there's a role that we play, and there's a role that we will have to play for the continuity of the melanated family.
Real quick, brother. Again, I think that we need to put it out there. A lot of brothers and sisters don't realize that we are under attack right now. We are at war right now. People hear it and they kind of go on one out, but we are really being set up right now that we really need to do some things. I'm not going to belabor the point. And I'm not going to say, I'm not going to sound sad either, like it's not going to happen. Like we're not going to rise to the occasion. We're going to rise to the occasion and do what we need to do after 400 years. I'm tired of this sucker. And ain't nobody send no damn message down my bloodline saying we supposed to forgive them for beating up my mama and grandmama and raping them and putting them in chains. Okay.
Stay ready. You don't have to get ready. These are actionable items we can take, that there's nobody that can say, no, you can't do this. This is really based on our intent. You know, how much of an asset do I want to be within my community? How much of an asset do I want to be within my family? Am I preparing myself with skills that are valuable in any sort of economy or any sort of climate? Good or bad, I now know how to save lives. Good or bad, I know how to produce food. Whether I decide to make this medical decision or not, my family, my community, the people I care about, even if I don't care about you, I know we got to, that protection piece, defense. I know we have to align ourselves to protect the perimeter of our communities. Mm-hmm. So once again, brother, we greatly appreciate your time. We look forward to continuing this conversation. I know this concept of 2022 It's going to bring a lot more challenges to the melanated family. But I'm like you. I feel like this is the Most High saying, man, y'all, it's time for y'all to wake up. These people are destroying the planet, and law of compensation is if you're not ready to take care of it, then are you ready to just let it go? There is something we can do. There are things we can do. We got to plug healthyblackfood.com. Learn how to grow your own food. If they're talking about this distant learning again, this is a great tool for the family.
Beautiful opportunity.
For the youth and, for the elders as well. And also, we encourage the family to get involved in CERT. Get a team together. Whether somebody wants to give you a certificate or not, that certificate ain't going to feed you in a time of emergency. Get the information while it is available. Utilize resources like this brother Leroy Shabazz. This is he's a very humble man compared to what he's got to bring to the table. You bring titanium, you bring uranium, you bring platinum to this discussion. It's one thing, Chicken Little. Oh my God, nigga, brother, we got to get to. No, you have taken the time to learn a skill set that is needed, that has value in any kind of weather. And we want to salute you here at B1AG.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you for allowing me to be here. And please forgive me for any mistakes I did, brothers and sisters, because I'm trying to do the best as I can.
We're all learning. We're all imperfect, but we want to continue this melanated family, this melanated community, this melanated nation. We want to be the best that we can be.
And let me keep this in perspective. When I say I'm doing the best, I'm doing the best that I can as a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, right? And I'm saying that to give you all understanding of what I'm doing and where it came from. But at the same time, if I can get up into Chicago and talk to the minister, talk to somebody, because it's not just me, it's other brothers and sisters in the nation. And without the nation that started this process in 2010. So if we can meet again and pull that together, we can, get our people through what we're about to go through a lot easier than what's about to happen if we don't train up and do what we need to do. Thank you, Brother Farmer Brown. Thank you, Brother Henry. I know we passed the hour, so I don't.
This is an important discussion. We appreciate the family that's tuned in. If it's one person, it might just be one individual that, these brothers said something and that makes sense. I'm going to take action. That's what it's about. That's what you were talking about. Once you create one, each one reach one, each one teach one. And it's keeping this conversation going because the one person watching might end up saving 50 people in their community because this seed was planted. Right? Brother Leroy, Brother Farmer Brown, Brother Henry might not ever meet you in person, but the whole concept is we're building. This building process, this supremacist system or wannabe supremacist system we found ourselves entangled with for the last 400 years, it didn't happen overnight. There was long-term planning. One seed was planted, then another came along, then another came along. So we're going to match that. Well, not only we call it black magic, but it's also black preparedness. Mm-hmm. It's also just taking this seriously. We have everything we need, and we have everything we're going to get from these people. So how do we put it on the table and get this meal popping?
So I just saw one somewhere.
Ancestors, they mastered the systems. We raising your bosses, no victims. Planting that knowledge curriculum. Blessing the roots with the nutrients. The darker the berry, black Nubian. Dropping receipts like I'm Julian. The streets with that food like Peruvian. Trapping the herbs and the fruits and the veggies. CSA boxes, my package is heavy. Ship across town in the bed of my Chevy. Printing them up, growing hard for that baby. If you stay ready, you ain't gotta scramble. Bet on black farmers and growers, no gamble. Reclaiming our pain cause the game is in shambles. Blessed with that melanin, carry the miracle. Mothers and fathers of civilization. Black to the garden with through cultivation. Building back better through black innovation. B1 community growing the nation. Genetically designed to be the dopest. Open that growth mindset. Codified, now we focus. Farming on back on track. Be the fam, break bread with them. Pushing that B1AG algorithm. Now watch me get them. Watch me get them. Pushing that B1AG algorithm. Be the fam, break bread with them. Pushing that B1AG algorithm. Watch me get them. Watch me get them. Pushing that B1AG algorithm.
And so, like we like to say before we get off here, it's like a mantra. Like to say, if you really want to know something,
Grow something.
learn how to grow something. So till next time, family, we hope you stay safe, stay vigilant. We're in changing times, transitional time, but we got what we need. We got what we need, and it's just tapping in. Show love to one another. Sometimes love hurts, but the thing is, we need to protect one another to get to the next day.
Going into the new year. Going into the new year. We live get to the new year. Hopefully.
You know, hopefully we got this.
That's right. That's right. We need to, the bomb. Make it the bomb. Yes, sir.
All right, brother Leroy. So till next time, man. I look forward to chopping it up with you some more. We're gonna get this training going.
Yes, sir. I'm used to saying John Henry at this point. Wait.
He's having tech issues.
Okay.
but we worked through it. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks again, brothers. And I hope I did, share something that I'm here. I'm always here. So let's
all right, brother. Well, you take care.
Yes, sir. Peace.